Think positive. Master Ryōkan walked along a mountain path at sunrise. Mist lingered among the pine trees, and every step sank lightly into the damp earth. A young disciple followed in silence, frowning and carrying a heart heavy with worry. "Master," he finally said, "everything seems to go wrong. Work is hard, friends judge me, and I fear life is unfair. How can I find peace amid so many troubles?" Ryōkan smiled gently and pointed to a small flower growing between the rocks. "Do you see it?" he asked. "No one waters it, no one protects it, yet it chooses to open toward the sun. The mind is the same. If you choose to see the light, you will grow even among the hardest stones." The disciple sighed. "And how do I learn to think that way?" "Think positive, not to ignore the pain, but to choose where you direct your attention. When your mind focuses on gratitude, hope, and calm, even the storm becomes your teacher." The disciple stayed silent for a moment as they walked, listening to the crunch of branches beneath their feet. "But Master," he said at last, "what if everything keeps going wrong? What if I try hard and nothing changes?" Ryōkan stopped by a mountain stream and picked up a dry leaf, letting it fall into the water. The current carried it gently downstream. "Watch the leaf," he said. "It doesn't struggle against the water. It simply flows with it." Thinking positive isn't about denying the current. It's about learning to navigate it. The young man frowned. "So I shouldn't resist?" "Resistance isn't the problem," replied Ryōkan. "The problem is resisting with fear. When your mind is full of fear, every obstacle grows larger. When it is full of trust, every obstacle becomes a lesson." They walked a little further. The master stopped beside a fallen log, covered with moss and tiny flowers. "See how life finds a way," he said. "Do you think the moss wonders if it's worth growing? No, it just grows. You can learn to grow too, even when the shadows seem stronger than the light." The disciple walked in silence, reflecting on the master's words. The path grew steeper, the stones more slippery. Suddenly, he tripped and fell, his hands covered in dirt. "See, Master," he exclaimed in frustration. "Nothing ever goes right. No matter how hard I try, I keep falling." Ryōkan helped him to his feet calmly and gestured to his dirty hands. "This is not failure," he said. "It is merely dust from the path. Every fall reminds you that you are moving forward." The disciple sighed. "But it hurts, and I grow tired of trying." "Fatigue is natural," the master replied. "But when your mind is clear and positive, weariness cannot stop you. It becomes a reminder of your own strength." They continued walking in silence until they reached a clearing where sunlight filtered through the trees. Ryōkan sat on a rock and closed his eyes. "Do you know what separates a sorrowful traveler from a serene one?" he asked. The disciple shook his head. "The direction of their gaze," Ryōkan said. "One sees only the mud on their shoes. The other sees the sky above." For the first time that morning, the young man looked up and saw the vast blue sky, and for a moment he forgot his frustration. The disciple remained silent, gazing at the open sky. For the first time, he felt the weight of his worries lighten. "So, Master," he asked, "is it enough to just look at the sky for everything to change?" Ryōkan smiled softly. "Not just the sky. You must learn to look at your own mind with the same wonder you use to watch the clouds." The young man frowned. "I don't understand." "Think of it this way," Ryōkan explained. "When a dark cloud appears, do you panic and think the sky is gone? No, you know the sky is still there. Negative thoughts are like clouds, they come and go. If you choose not to cling to them, clarity will return naturally." The disciple took a deep breath, feeling space open within him for calm. "So, Thinking positive is not letting the clouds trick me? Exactly, the master replied. It's not about forcing joy. It's about remembering that the light never truly disappears, even when you can't see it. They stood and continued along the path. Ryōkan added, every thought is a seed. If you choose to cultivate trust, gratitude, and serenity, your life will blossom, even in difficult times. The path became narrower and rockier, yet the disciple walked with a newfound calm. Every step, though still challenging, felt lighter. Master, he said after a long silence, what happens when others plant clouds in my mind? When they criticize, when they doubt me, how can I stay positive then? Ryōkan stopped beside a clear mountain spring and cupped some water in his hands. What do you think happens if you drop a few drops of ink into this spring? He asked. The water would get dirty, the disciple replied. Yes, said the master. But if the spring keeps flowing, the ink dissolves and disappears. A mind nourished with positive thoughts does not easily get polluted. The disciple nodded slowly. So I shouldn't fight them? No, keep flowing. When your inner mind is full of trust and calm, no outside word can darken it for long. As they resumed their walk, Ryōkan added with a gentle smile, true positive thinking is not fragile like a bubble. It is firm like a mountain standing tall, even when the wind rages. The sun was high when they reached the mountain summit. The valley below stretched out like a patchwork of greens and golds, and the sound of the wind felt like a gentle welcome. The disciple stood in awe of the beauty before him. Master, I've never seen anything like this, he said, marveling. I always walked looking at the ground, thinking about how tired I was. Ryōkan smiled. That is thinking positive. Not ignoring the effort, but discovering the beauty that was always there. The young man sat on a rock, gazing at the horizon. So, every day has something good, even if I don't see it? Every day is like this mountain, Ryōkan replied. If you only look at your feet, you see stones. If you lift your head, you see the sky. The disciple took a deep breath, trying to imprint the moment in his heart. I think I'm beginning to understand, he whispered. Thinking positive isn't about expecting life to be easy. It's about seeing its value even when it's hard. Ryōkan nodded in satisfaction. Exactly. When you learn that, no matter what happens, your mind will always find a ray of light. A gentle wind blew across the summit, and the disciple remained seated, gazing at the valley below. Master, he said softly, how can I keep this feeling when I return to the village with all its problems and noise? Ryōkan sat beside him and pointed to a river winding through the valley. Do you see that river? He asked. It flows no matter whether the sky is clear or stormy. Your mind must learn to be like that river. Steady, peaceful, unaffected by every obstacle. The young man nodded. And how do I do that in practice? Start each day with gratitude, the master replied. When you wake, think of 3 things you're thankful for. During the day, when irritation rises, pause and ask yourself, can I see something good here? And before sleep, recall a moment that made you smile, no matter how small. The disciple smiled faintly. That seems simple. It is. Ryōkan inclined his head. The challenge is consistency. The mind needs training like any muscle. The young man stood, feeling renewed. So, Master, I can choose how I want to feel? Yes, Ryōkan said. You can't choose what happens, but you can choose how you see what happens. The disciple sat quietly for a moment, letting the master's words sink in like gentle rain. So, Master, he said with a calm smile, thinking positive is a choice? Ryōkan nodded peacefully. Exactly. It's not about waiting for miracles. It's about planting them within yourself every day. As they began their descent, the young man walked with lighter steps and a peaceful heart. The stones remained, the path was still steep, but now his stride was steady and confident. "I think I understand now," he said. "Thinking positive is like lighting a lantern. Darkness doesn't disappear instantly, but I am no longer afraid of it." Ryōkan smiled and pointed to a ray of sunlight breaking through the clouds. "Remember, you cannot control the weather, but you can always open the window." The disciple nodded, filled with gratitude. As they walked down the mountain, each step became a silent affirmation. "Peace begins within me."